Hey everyone, I'm a Big Blaze and today we go over one of the best builds in the game, Bash Emmer Barb. This build is insanely strong and tanky. You can do whatever you want with this build. Push the pit, bosses, even do boosts and everything else. If you like to do big damage, you must try this Bash Emmer Barb. Let's start. First of all, if you plan to level with this build, don't. Before the endgame gear, this build is basically no fun. It has low AoE damage and it's pretty slow. There is better leveling bar builds like Dust Devil and Up Evil, so level with those and change later. So how do this build works? This build is really a beginner friendly and there isn't a lot of complex mechanics you should do to get this build started and pump the damage. Basically, we use Bash as our main source of damage and all of the other abilities works as a support for the damage. Make sure you always use Steel Grasp to pull enemies and make them vulnerable. It also gives us the Berserking buff to increase our damage. Remember to use Ota when you get 4 stacks to make it overpower and give us 30% more damage for 5 seconds. Use shouts as needed. Warcry you should keep on CD cause it really contributes to our damage with the Berserking buff. Use challenging shout when you go into a big pack. This will give us 40% bonus reduction and 20% max life. Make sure you use Rallying Shout only when needed. This is our get out of jail card when we need the Unstoppable and the Void stance. As for our gear, I link the build planner with everything you need down in the description. Try to get greater affix cooldown reduction to make the playstyle smoother. You should get it on your amulet and also on your helmet if you don't have the unique Harley Quinn. Besides that, our modifiers are strength, max life, crit chance and damage, and attack speed. Of course, resistances as needed. Let's go over the gear and legendary powers, and after it I'll talk about the tempering and masterwork. The helmet is Harley Quinn. If you don't have it, use a regular one with cooldown reduction. If you can, greater affix on the cooldown reduction. On the chest we use Undying for the heals, and the greater affix modifiers should be strength and maximum life. The third one can be armor or any kind of resistance. On the gloves we use Pain Gorges. If you can get greater affix on attack speed or critical strike chance is good. On pants we use Might for the damage reduction, and the important greater affix should be on points on Bash. If you can get more, it's better. On the boots, I like to go with movement speed, maximum life and resistance of all elements, but use it as needed. If you need armor, go with armor. If you need specific resistance, take it. The important greater affix is movement speed. I like to be faster. The weapons we use is 2-end mace, 2-end sword, and 2 one-ended swords for the critical strike damage. On the 2-end mace we use the legendary power Moonrise, and the important modifiers for all of them is strength, maximum life and critical strike damage. If you can get greater affix on strength and maximum life, it's good. On the one-ended swords we use Inner Calm and Edge Master. Of course, again, strength, maximum life and critical strike damage. On the 2-end sword we use Rapid, again strength, maximum life, critical strike damage. On our rings, the best modifiers is critical strike chance and attack speed. If you can find the third modifier with lucky chance to make enemies vulnerable, it's the best, but you can use strength if not. On one of my ring I use lightning resistance to fix my resistances, so if you need to, you can do the same. The legendary power is element for the increased damage and ball chieftain for the cooldown reduction. On our amulet we use the legendary power adaptability, and the modifiers are attack speed, critical strike chance and cooldown reduction. If you can find an amulet with cooldown reduction and attack speed or critical strike chance and ranks to counter offensive, it's the best amulet you can get. Greater affix should be on the cooldown reduction, but attack speed and critical strike chance is also fine. One thing that I saw in different builds is the use of the Ramaldani's unique sword. From my testing, I had less damage with it, so I prefer regular sword. Maybe with a perfect unique you can get better result than me, but overall I think that it's not worth losing the legendary power and of course the tempering. Our build relies heavily on the bash tempering, so losing it is no good. On top of that, some builds taking Paragon nodes that increase the fury to support this unique, which I think that is DPS and defense loss. Let me know in the comments what do you think of it. For the full masterwork and tempering, you can check the build planner in the description. The important tempering that we need is bash on all of our weapons. High percent is better, but try not to break it. As you can see, I have bash on all of my weapons and damage to close. One of the weapons can be with damage while berserking to reach the 30% on the Blood Rage Paragon that we talked about earlier. For our masterwork, the best breakpoint should be on cooldown reduction, bash, damage while berserking, damage to close, maximum life, attack speed, and critical strike chance. Try not to reroll a lot because it costs a lot of gold. There is one trick that you can do to use tempering crit damage on our weapons, and it's to level a rogue to the point he can masterwork and then take the weapon, try to reroll crit damage on our weapons with our rogue, and then put it in the stash and take it on your main. This is a great way to use critical strike damage tempering on our weapon. I'm in the middle of leveling my rogue to do the same, so if you want tempering crit damage on your weapons, level a rogue and do it as fast as you can. Next is our skill tree. I'll go over the important points in this build and the few things we can change. If you want to see the full skill tree, you can check it in the description. There is one synergy in this build and it's bash and Ota. You see, the combat bash, after critically striking 4 times with bash, your next core skill will be overpower. Ota is our core skill, and with violent hammer of the ancient, after overpowering with hammer of the ancient, you deal 30% more damage. So we use the 4 stack we get from bash and use it on Ota to make it 30% more damage. The next thing we can change, if you want to be more defensive, you can remove Ota and take Iron Skin. This is how you can make your build more defensive and stand still on the boss and just nuke it. The next thing we can change is swiftness. I go with 3 points in swiftness to be faster, but if you want to remove it and take concussion to make the boss stagger faster, you can remove 2 points and take the 2 points and use it on concussion. There is one thing that we need to understand in this build, and it's the 2 point in outburst and tough as nails. One in outburst, one in tough as nails. There is few Paragon nodes that make us take reduced damage against bleeding enemies. Those points make the enemies bleed. Outburst make thorns on ourselves, and tough as nails makes the thorn bleed the enemy, and this is how we can be more defensive. When we talk about the Paragon, there is a few nodes that are important for our gameplay and we need to know about. The first important node is Blood Rage. Blood Rage increase our damage by up to 30%. It's really important to get this bonus, so try and tweak your Paragon board to support it. This is why you can masterwork to get increased damage while berserking and get the bonus that we need. The second important node is Decimator. The damage from it is valuable. If you can, try and find a ring with lucky hit to make enemies vulnerable to increase the damage from this node when we use our overpower Ota. It's important to understand that this node also uses the 4 stacks we get from Bash, so make sure you use Ota and then Steel Grasp for the vulnerable and berserking buff. The build planner is in the description for the full Paragon board. Make sure you follow it and make adjustment depending on your needs. For example, if you make the bonus for Blood Rage, you can take points in maximum life so you get more defensive. If you don't, just remove the maximum life and take the berserking to make the 30% bonus. I used to play a lot of Druid, but apparently I really like Barb and I want to push with it. I'll make more Barb build guides, so make sure you follow. If you have any questions about the build, let me know in the comments. You can check my Twitch channel and ask me there, or just hang out. Please subscribe to my channel if you like this video. I'll see you in the next one.